Hey guys, this is Chris, strat-o-matic, Delaware, continuing our tutorials for inside pitch baseball. And this is the third video of the series. In the first video we covered the cards and the dice and some of the results that you would find on the cards, different symbols, and what was located in the pitching, batting, and ballpark matrices. The second one we went over how to resolve at bats using results that you find in the matrices. This third one is going to be about fielding, errors, and range plays. So let's, without any further ado, jump right into it. We're going to follow the rule book loosely-ish, but basically we're going to go over how to figure out what happens after the ball is hit. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get the spiel in. If you like the video, please give it the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Hit the little dinger bell thingy next to the word subscribed, so that way anytime content is uploaded you'll know about it. Share me with your friends. And guys, here is inside pitch baseball fielding tutorial. Okay, now we have indicated that on the cards players' positions are listed, and beside each position are ratings that apply to that position. Kurt Bavacqua playing third base, he's rated at a 3 for his range, a 13 for his error rating. Mario Ramirez, shortstop, is rated 2 for range, 8 for error, 0 pivot. Tim Flannery at second is rated 4 for range, 14 for error, 0 pivot. So on the double plays, the pivot, they will not make any adjustments at all. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Champ Summers at first is 2 for his range and 0 for his error. So let's say runners on and nobody out. Well, let's do this the whole way through because we don't need to see the fielder's matrices for this. Let's roll. Dave Dravecki rolls a 3-1. Now we're going to roll again until we get a roll that we can use here. 3-2 is going to be, he's not tired, so you read the single one as a blank. That's going to go to the batter's card. And you roll the batter's card, 2-3, and he agrees. G1, back to the pitcher. It's a ground ball. Nobody is out. It's just a plain old ground out. Back to the box, Dravecki over to Summers. 1-3. Nice and easy, lemon squeezy. If there were a runner on first, or on any of the other bases, then there are ways to handle a ground out. Some of the things you're going to need to be aware of when determining how to do a ground out. You're going to need to know about infield position, the effective infield position, as far as how well a player plays, what their position rating is. And there are modifications here on the chart that tell you if you have, and you can place a position player, infielder, in any position you want. You can have your third baseman all the way in, your shortstop all the way back, your second baseman halfway in, your first baseman all the way in. If you've got, like, say, a lefty bunting or something like that, whatever it may be, but you have a lot of versatility with this. So let's say it's normal, it's one out, there's no one on third, so the infield's going to be all the way back, and you can see here, range, there will be no change. As far as grounding into a double play, there would be no change. Base running rate for first on a ground ball, no change. So we'll say everybody is back. Let's say there is a runner on first, and the ground ball went to the pitcher on a 2-3 roll. Now, since there is a runner on first, we need to determine whether or not there's a double play or which player is out and where. So we'll say Kirk Gibson is the runner on first. In order to determine double plays, first you need to have the GDP rating for the batter, which is 3. Add to that the GDP player of the pitcher, which is 0. Add to that the pivot number, the pivot rating for the involved fielder. And again, we will go back to, it's not on the main chart, but it is in the instruction book on the page listed Groundouts. And it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. Versus a left-handed batter, G1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it says who's the pivot man. I mean, if it's hit to the right side, pivot man, second base, no matter what. If it's hit to the left side, pivot man's a shortstop. And then versus lefty versus righty, that splits it up as to whether it's a grounder to the pitcher or the catcher, whether it's shortstop or second baseman. You determine your pivot man, and then you add to the 3 GDP of Lance Parrish, the 0 GDP of Dave Dravecky, the pivot rating for the involved fielder. It's a right-handed batter, and I recall that it's second base, so Tim Flannery's pivot rating is 0. And then since the infield is at normal play double depth all the way back, there's 0 change to the ground, to the GDP rating as well. So you add all those 4 things: batter GDP, pitcher GDP, pivot rating of pivot player, and infield positions. So we have 3, 0, 0. Everything is all the way back. So now our GDP total adjusted rating is 3. You're going to roll 1d6. So let us roll the d6. And we've got a 2. If you roll within the GDP range from 1 to the GDP number, in this case 3, it is a double play. So that would be 1, 4, 3. So that is a double play. If you roll above that range, yet equal to or less than this base runner's, the guy on first, this base runner's base running rating, which is 4, if we had rolled, instead of the 1 through 3, if we had rolled a 4, that is equal to or less than Kirk Gibson's base running rating, even though it's not a double play, he's going to make it to second base safely. So it would be a play to first for Parrish. So that would be out number 2. Or, I mean, Parrish would be out. Gibson would be to second safely. If it is above the base running rating, then it is a force on the lead runner. So if we had rolled a 5, it would be a force on the lead runner. Gibson would be out. Parrish to first on a fielder's choice. If checking for a double play, you roll a 6, then it is a play at first only. Gibson makes it to second. Maybe the ball is bobbled, picks it up, only has time to go to first, get Parrish for the sure out. So again, here's the synopsis for double plays. If there's a runner on first, you take, and it results in a ground ball, you take GDP batter plus GDP pitcher plus pivot rate for the pivot player plus any infield position changes. That total is your GDP number. You roll the d6. If it is that GDP number or lower, it's a double play. If it is above the GDP range but equal to or lower the base run rating of the man at first, he reaches second safely, and it's the batter is out at first. If it is above the base running rate of the base runner, move that up there. If it is above that rate but not 6, then the runner going to second is out, and the batter reaches on fielder's choice. If it is a 6, the only possible play is at first. Base runner at first makes it to second, batter is out at first. Sounds like a lot, but that is how it works. You could get, and say we're doing the same thing but only with Lou Whitaker now, okay? So the GDP is 3. Parrish has 3. Dravecky adds 0. Flannery's pivot adds 0. Infield normal position adds 0. So the GDP is 3. Well, since Whitaker's base running is 3, anything that would let him reach safely here is included in the GDP range. So you roll 1 to 3, it's a double play. Now there's nothing for him. If it's a 4 or a 5, he's out going to second. And then a 6, Parrish out going to first. If you have a base runner with a base runner rating of 5, double play would be 1 through 3. Advance safely to second, 4 through 5. Out at first only, rolling a 6. That is how you do double plays. Best way to do that, maybe make notation somewhere or something. And repetition is the key to insanity. Do it over and over and over until you've got it locked in your head. Let us get the rule book back over here. And there are also scenarios for different base running situations. If there is a runner on second and less than 2 out, all runners advance on balls hit to first, second, or the catcher. So to first, second. So if it's a G3, if it were a G4 or a G2, then if there's a man on second base, he advances to third. Runners advance on balls hit to shortstop or pitcher if the base running rating of the runner beats a 1d6 roll. Otherwise, he holds. No chance for being out. So if it's hit to the shortstop or the pitcher, you roll a d6. 3 beats the base runner rating. It's in 1 to 4, so he advances to third. If it had been a 5 or a 6, he would simply hold at second. Balls hit to the third baseman only advance on a roll of 6. Otherwise, they hold. So they have to roll a 6 to advance to third. Very extenuating circumstances. In all likelihood, it's not going to happen. Runner on first and second. Second to first double play, try on all grounders except to third base. So runners on first and second, you're going to do the something like the 5-4-3, the 5-6, the 4-6-3, the 6-4-3, the 1-6, whatever that combination is, with a put out at second and a put out at first. You're going to try that double play, unless it is a ground ball to the third baseman. If it is a ground ball to the third baseman, you are going to roll a d6, like so. Now, if you roll a 1 or a 2, it's a hit towards the line. If double play or force, it would go 5-3. That means you are going to do the double play, which would be GDP is 3, GDP is 0. There's no pivot guy, so it would just be Bavacqua's and there's no pivot for Bavacqua. Infield is back normal, so it's a 3. That means you would roll it again. If it's a double play, 3, then it would be a 5-3 double play. If it were not a double play, it would be a 5-3 put out at first only. That is how you do if you roll 1 or 2 if it goes to third base. If it goes to third base and you got runners on first and second and you roll a 3 or a 4, it is hit right at the third baseman. Then you have a choice of force only at third or try second to first double play. So you can either take the force of the lead runner and get that shore out, and that's the only thing you can do, or else you can try to uncork with the 5-4-3 double play and determine the double play the same way we did before. You have a runner on third with less than 2 outs. You decide if the runner heads home or holds. If a play is being made on the runner, this is simply a 1d6 roll versus his adjust base running rate. Higher than that number, and the runner is out. So if Kirk Gibson is on third base, it's hit to the third baseman, and Gibson is going home, If he rolls a 5 or a 6, he's out. Boom. He's done. If it had been a 1 through a 4, he would have been safe. Base runner with a base runner rating of 2, he'd have to roll a 1 or a 2 to be safe. You don't have to send him, you can hold him. Always remember, pitcher is considered to be in, but can make the play at any base. If infield is in, double play chances only go home first. So it would be a something 2-3 double play. Only plays for the infielder are at home or first. So that is ground balls. That is double plays. Once again, if there's no runner on, wherever it indicates that it's hit to, say G3, you call it 3-1, 3-4, U3, but it's a ground out to first. If it's a G5, no runners on, it's a 5-3. G6, no runners on, it's a 6-3. If there's a runner on first, you always check for the double play. You get the GDP, pivot rating, and infield modifications. Then you roll, and as long as it is in the range of the GDP, it's a double play. If it's above the GDP, but less than or equal to the base run rating of the man on first going to second, he is safe. Out at first for the batter. If it is above the base runner rating, but less than 6, he is out at second. Base runner fielder's choice. If it is a 6, then the only play is to first. So the base runner advances to second, batter's out at first. Okay, that's ground balls. Let's go to lineouts now. Lineout is simple. Let's say we've got a runner at second base, Kurt Gibson again. Alright, lineout is simple. If you roll, let's say we roll a 1-5. Let's get 1-5 up here on the dice. We have rolled 1-5. Yeah, I wanted it to be 5-1. We have rolled 5-1. That is 5-1, line out to third. Now, if there's nobody on, it's just a line out. Boom, he snagged it, saved the base hit, 1 away, L5. If, say, there is a runner on, you are going to consult the line drives chart right here. We're going to tell you how to do that, okay? There is a runner on second. It is a line drive to third base. According to the chart, runner on second, it is hit to third base. Now you are going to roll a d6. Again, read the red. It's a 6. Runner on second, third base. If it had been a 2, that would be a double play. That would be an L5-4 double play. If it had been a 1 and there was a runner on first base, that would be a double play. If it had been a 3 with a runner on third, that would have been a double play. Anything not listed here, 4, 5, 6, is not a double play. It's just simply a line out. And it's got that for shortstops, it's got it for second baseman, it's got it for first baseman, it's got it for pitchers. So there can be line out double plays. And anytime there is a line out and there is a base runner, you make that check. It is a requirement of the game. Same with going for the double play. I mean, anything that is in these rules, it is a requirement that you make the check. So that way the game is as statistically accurate as possible. So yes, you do that. And that's really as simple for lineouts. There's not much for that. And it's simple for flyouts as well. So let us go ahead and remove our infielders, if I may be permitted just a moment to do so. Thank you, backup Padres. Appreciate it. Good job, guys. Way to go. Way to show that double play. Knock it. All right. So let's go with Kurt Bavacqua as a left fielder and Tony Gwynn as a right fielder. So that way we could show the differences with ranges. Vecchi pitching to Lance Parrish. All righty then. Here we go. Flyouts with no runners on or a runner only on first, it is just a fly out. So that means if there's a fly ball, the guy on first is not taking second. It's not happening. If you roll 1-2 against a righty and it's blank, and you go through to the batter's card and you roll a 5-3 F7 fly ball to left field, he's out. If you have a runner on second, like say Mr. Kirk Gibson will say might be on second base with that fly to left field, you're going to roll 1d6. If the roll is less than or equal to the adjusted base running rating, or ABR, which is the base running rating of the runner plus the outfielder's arm, the runner advances to third. But you have on the chart here for base running advancement, if it is an F7, it's not on the chart, it is in the book. Okay, so let's bring it up here. Runner on second, less than 2 out. If it's a fly to left, no advance. If it's a fly to center, subtract 3 from the base run rating. If it's a fly to right, use the base run rating. So if it's a fly to left, no advance. The second runner on second does not go to third. If it is a fly to center, you subtract 3 from the base run rating. So that would be a base run rating from 4 down to 1. Then you add the outfielder's arm plus 1, so it's 2. So if you were to roll 1d6 and it would be 1 to 2, Gibson would make it to third. Well, if it was hit to center field, Gibson would make it to third. If it was a roll of 3 through 6, Gibson would simply hold. If it's hit to right field, Tony Gwynn over there, you use the base run rating. You add the outfielder's arm, right field -1, you're subtracting 1 from the rating. So the adjusted base runner rating, or ABR, is now 3. 4 minus 1 equals 3. Then you roll the 1d6. If it's 1 through 3, Gibson's able to advance to third. If it's 4 through 6, he holds at second. With a runner on third and less than 2 out, roll 1d6. If the roll is less than or equal to the batter's sacrifice fly rating, or SF rating, if it's less than or equal to, the runner scores on a deep fly, sacrifice fly. If a failed sacrifice fly roll, then check the throw chart using only base runner rating of the base runner and the arm rating of the outfielder. So let's say it's Kirk Gibson is on third base. It's a deep fly ball hit to right field. Tony Gwynn is back. He makes the catch. But his sacrifice fly rating is 2, and we've just rolled a 4. So now he's going to try to tag up. And we are going to use, I believe it said we are going to use the throw chart. This is the throw chart right here. And using only the base run rating, which is 4, and the outfielder arm rating, -1. So that's 3. When using the throw chart, roll 2 dice. First, you're going to read the red one. It's a 2. If it had been a 1, you would go to this portion right here. If it had been a 6, we would go to this portion right here. And this is where rundowns can happen. If you roll a 6 and then another 6. However, we rolled a 2. If roll is less than or equal to adjusted base run rating, then the runner advances, otherwise he holds. 2 is less than the 3 we had come to, he scores. If it had been a 4, then Kirk Gibson would have held at third. So this is, again, this is something that you just do. It is part of the game. It is meant to be used. It is. That's it for Flyouts. That is it for Flyouts. So we are going to go through error checks and range checks. So let us do that. Hopefully we can get through it quickly. Error plays. After the possibility of an error is taken from the pitcher's card, and the only place you're going to see errors are on the pitcher's card. There are no E's on the batter cards. There are no E's on the ballpark cards. After an error possibility is taken from the pitcher card, all outcomes on the hitters or ballpark cards can have an error on the play because it was rolled on the pitcher's card. Okay, so there are charts that denote the type and basis for each type of error. If nothing is shown, blah, okay, so we'll show you how to use the charts. For errors, you're going to roll a d20. For errors, you need the d20 right there. So let us go ahead and do the pitchers, and it is going to be a 4-6. We have rolled 4-6 on Dave Dravecki's card. 4-6. There is a possibility of an error. How do we determine where the error is? We roll again on the batter's card, and we get 3-6. So now we know there's a chance of an error on a fly ball to left field. Okay? So, in order to determine if there is an error or not, our left fielder's rating in this instance is error rating is 0. You're going to roll the d20. If it is equal to or less than the error rating, it is an error. So, boom, it's 11. He's got 0. He's not committing an error in left field. If it had been to a right field, and if it had been to center field instead, Tony Gwynn has an error rating of 20. An error is being committed. If it's anywhere from 1 to the error rating, which is 1 to 20. If it is, say, he was playing right field, and 1 to 2, if he had rolled a 1 or a 2, an error is committed. If he had rolled anywhere from a 3 up to 20, no error is committed. When no error is committed, you go with the result. Fly ball to left field. When an error is committed, you go to the charts. Always use the charts. Now this is the error check chart. Most of this one chart is for errors only. You're going to have failed error check rolls. So if it was an error, you look for the type of play. G is ground, P is pop, L is line, F is fly, S is single, D is double, T is triple. Even on hits, there can be an error. So it was an F7. So let's say there was an error to left field, F, and then you look at 7. And it will give you the color that you're going to look at for what the result of the play is. Here it says drops fly. And if it's an odd, there's a plus sign. So drops fly, odd, plus. Fly ball is dropped if error check fails, and that 1d20 roll is odd. So if we had rolled a, say you have an error rating of 5 and you rolled a 3, that is an error. It is odd. You roll 1d6 versus the adjusted base running rate of the runner. If less than or equal to, the runner or hitter advances 2 bases, otherwise only 1. So once you determine the type of play, the position, it will tell you what kind of error and what kind of running has happened as a result of that error. Go to the charts. If no error occurred, then you go with the play as it was rolled. Fly ball to left field. Again, when you come up with the E, that is only a chance of an error. If you roll, let's say, let's reverse that. Let's make this a 6-3. We've rolled a 6-3 on Dravecki's card. Column 6, row 3, EG. This means there is a possibility of an error on a ground ball. Which ground ball? Well, only on a ground ball. So see if there's an error. You roll for the batter's card. 3-1, it's a fly ball. There's no chance of an error. Disregard it. If it was L6, line out to short, no chance of an error, it's not a ground ball. P6, pop out to short, no chance of an error. If, however, we had rolled a 3-3, it would be a ground ball to the shortstop. So now there is a chance of an error because it was error ground ball. Ground ball to short. And you determine it exactly the same way. Let's say the shortstop's error rate, right up here, shortstop's error rate is 8. So we're going to roll a d20 and see if the d20 falls in the error range, which is 1 through the error rate. If it's above, then we read it just as it was. So we roll a 9. His error rate is 1 through 8. It was a 9, so that means that 3-3 is simply a ground ball to short. If there was a runner on first, then you now go for the double play. And you see, we'll say the second baseman is Tim Flannery. His pivot is 0. So you have GDP 3, GDP 0, 0 for the pivot, 0 for infield position. So now you roll for the double play. Read the red. It's a 4. So it's above the 1 through 3, but 4 is his base run rating. So now he has made it to second base. The play is at Lance Parrish at first. So it's a natural flow for check the error. It's a ground ball. There's a runner on first. There's no error. Resolve the double play. Just a natural flow of how to work it in the game. That is the ground. There is one other type of error that can occur, and that is get off my pitcher. Dave Dravecki, please. If we had rolled a 5-3, that would be ET. No, it's not phone home. No, it's not entertainment tonight. It's error throwing. On any play where there could be a throwing error, it does not involve flyouts or pop-ups because no throwing is involved in making the out. Lineouts either. Only on ground balls. But there could be a throwing error. So let's say again it is G6. Let's go ahead and roll. Kirk Gibson is not on base, but it's a ground ball to the shortstop, and that's going to be, let's bring Ramirez out here again. His error rate is 8. We have rolled a 9. There is no error. It is G6, 6-3, put out at first. If it had instead been in the range, there is a throwing error. And again, and it's the same with the errors for ground balls and the regular errors and the errors for throwing. There are 3 sections for errors, so that way you can look at that, find the type of play, find the fielding position, find the result, and come down here. All right. You also may have a range play, RP. This checks against the range of the fielding player. So let's say we have rolled double 5s. We have RP, which is a range play. How do you determine whose range you're checking? You roll the batter's card. 2-2. It's a ground ball to third base. Now the first number is their range. You need to roll 1d6 for range checks. You roll a d20 for errors, a 1d6 for range. If the 1d6 results in a number that is anywhere from 1 to the range number, third baseman is 2, and we rolled a 2, then he has the range to get to the ball and make the play. 5-3, he's out. If it is anywhere else, then it is a single. It gets through for a base hit. Well, mostly it does. There's a chart for that too. You go here and make sure. Failed range check roll. If it failed, you've got G5, and it's #5. Roll 1d6. 1 through 4 is a single, 5 through 6 is a double. So that's like how closely down the line it is, and whether the first left fielder's got to chase it or not. But for failed check rolls, you do this. Now, if we had instead rolled a 3-4, now we have the result of a single past the shortstop. Now we're still doing a range check. So the shortstop's range is 2. We're going to roll, and as long as he has the range to get there, he's going to make the play on a single. He'll make the play to first and get Parrish out. If it is a failed, that's if it is a successful range check roll. You're going to look right over here. Again, ground ball to third base. It's going to be a G5. You're changing it to a G5. So you're changing a single to a ground ball. Or with a failed range check, you can change a ground ball to a base hit. So that is the range checks. And this has been a rather lengthy video, but we have covered everything. We have covered ground balls, ground outs, double plays. We have covered lineouts, lineout double plays. We have covered fly balls. We have covered sacrifice flies. We have covered errors. We have covered range plays and how to determine the outcome of those, how to check those results, how to run the checks, so that way we could determine the outcome of a play. The next one is going to be, what did I say the next one is going to be? Let me look at the rule book. The next video is going to cover, what is next? We've got that, and we've got, really the next video is going to cover strategy. And that is going to include strategy rolls, stealing, hit and run, and bunting. So we are going to do that in video number 4 of this tutorial series. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Also, a very, very good source to tap for this, there is a Delphi forum for inside pitch baseball. Check that out. Get on, ask the guys questions. Chris Davis, the creator of this game, is very active on that forum, and he's already answered a question or two of mine. He's fantastic to deal with, very responsive. So guys, this is Chris, strat-o-matic Delaware. Video number 3 is concluded, and we will continue this series with strategic dice rolls in video number 4. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This is Chris, strat-o-matic Delaware. Keep on rolling.